Hey everyone, welcome back to All Tommy Farms, and today we're going to be getting into a new video. And before we get into the video, please go on and click the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Let's go on and get into the video. Well, good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining in to another Wildwoods Beekeeping podcast. Thank y'all for joining in tonight. It's been a while. I haven't really been, I haven't really done a live. Let's see, when was the last time I did one? I think it was a couple of weeks ago. I've just been kind of taking a break. But I figured I'd do one tonight, and I'm going to try to get a little bit more consistent. But for tonight's topic, I'm going to be talking about mistakes beekeepers make in winter and how to avoid them. It'll be a presentation in just a second. I'll let some folks kind of join in. It's been a little bit since I've uploaded a video, or since I've done a live stream. It's just kind of been kind of busy. I'll just give some quick updates. All the bees they're still doing well. I haven't really checked them, a whole lot. The last time I checked them was last week, and last time I checked them, they were doing pretty well. So I'll probably go back out into the bee yard sometime this week and probably start putting on some food to make sure that they don't starve, which we're going to be kind of talking about that in a little bit, kind of talking about some things about starvation. And down here, we have to deal with these up and down temperatures. I'm actually starting to deal with those inconsistent temperatures, up and down temperatures, just whatever you want to call them. I've been kind of dealing with that. I'm trying to make sure these bees don't starve, because that can definitely happen whenever you have warm temperatures. Bees start to fly and they start burning food, and then you get back down into cold weather where they start to cluster again, and bees might not make it back into the cluster, or they might, starve. So you got to kind of deal with that. So that's really what's going on right now. I plan sometime this week to get out there and check them and make sure they have enough food. But not really anything going on. They're nice and heavy from the fall flow. Fall flow did very, very well. And I plan to put on some extra food here soon. Maybe next couple of days. Some Hive Live fondant. Some of my own fondant that I make. Let's see. Thank you all for joining in tonight. We have Mike Tangway, Richard, and we have some other folks. It's still kind of early, so we're going to let people kind of join in as we go. I'm about to get into my presentation. Like I said, it's been a while since I've done a live stream. I think it was like 3 weeks ago, so I won't really be surprised if there's a low percent viewers on, because I haven't really been consistent. That's what I'm going to try to kind of get back consistent and on these live streams every Monday night at 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. If you don't know, I'm kind of switching the time back down to 6 o'clock. That's kind of what I've been doing, 6 o'clock Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. It's just kind of worked out better that way. Looks like we have Jason, Bohemia Bees. Thanks for joining in tonight. What's up, bee people? Nothing going on right now. That's actually kind of why I haven't really been doing videos or live streams. Nothing going on right now. But right now is that kind of time of the year just to kind of sit around and talk about what's going on. And tonight's topic, as I mentioned, is mistakes beekeepers make. I actually kind of got in here late, so I actually wasn't able to get my stuff, let's see here. Let me go ahead and put this up real quick. My presentation. Just give me just a second. I'm gonna do a tab. All right. Give me just a second, y'all. I'm gonna get this up and then we'll get rolling. If y'all will click that thumbs up button. If you're new here, please subscribe. I do these every Monday night at 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. Make sure to, whenever they come out, earlier, make sure to put the reminder so you do not miss out. Make sure so you don't miss the live stream. Sometimes I miss live stream sometimes, and when I hit the reminder, it helps me to remember. All right, here we go. Thanks to Jason for the $10 donation. I appreciate it. Thank you super much. I appreciate those. Hey Randy, the Tar Heel Beekeeper. Again, thanks for Jason for that $10 donation. It helps the channel out a lot. Couldn't do anything without y'all. I appreciate it. Hey, Pastor Larry and Miss Jan, Hallelujah Bee Farm. Thanks for checking in. We're kind of starting to get some more people in here. So the way I usually do these, if you don't know, I always usually make these presentations just to kind of talk about. It's a very good way for me to share what I kind of want to talk about. Hey JW, thanks for checking in. JW Soapstone Apiaries, thanks for checking in. So still kind of disoriented tonight, so let me kind of get to all my extensions. There we go. What I was going to say was that I'm going to be doing this presentation, so I will not be looking at the chat. So if y'all are saying stuff, talking, I'm not trying to ignore y'all or anything like that. I'm just on a different window doing this presentation, but I will come back later once I'm done, and I'll look through the comments and what y'all are talking about. And if y'all have any questions, feel free to put them in there, whether they're related to this topic or if they're related to something completely different. Feel free to comment any topics you want me to bring up or questions, whatever you want to do. Thanks. Thank y'all again for joining in tonight's chat. So I guess we'll start out. Let me come over here real quick. There we go. So this video is about common winter mistakes beekeepers make during winter. It can be beginners, intermediate, advanced beekeepers, throughout the whole thing. Mistakes mostly for beginners, so mostly toward beginners, but it's still good for intermediate, advanced beekeepers such as myself. I guess I'd call myself an intermediate beekeeper, definitely not an advanced beekeeper. We might have some more advanced beekeepers in the chat, but it's always good to kind of get a refresh on things whenever there's a lot of things to learn. So I guess before we get into the mistakes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, usually the way I layer it, we'll talk about what really kills bees in winter. The number one thing that kills bees in winter is starvation. I kind of talked about that before. That's the main reason why bees die during winter. Down here, starvation is a big issue. I mean, most beekeepers would think that it isn't because down south, have warm temperatures. Why would they starve if you have warm temperatures? A lot of people tell me that I really don't have a winter compared to northern beekeepers like Jason, who was in the chat a little bit ago, and some other beekeepers who are in the chat. They're more north, so they have more colder temperatures. But for us, we have our own set of challenges with starvation. We'll get cold where bees will cluster. Bees do cluster down here. Bees will cluster like normal for a couple of days, maybe even a week. Get into some low temperatures, but we do get warm. The bees will break cluster. They'll start flying. They'll start being more active. And whenever they start to fly, whenever they start to move, they're not clustering. They are moving. Movement. For movement to happen, in bees, they have to have calories, and those calories come from honey, and they burn a lot of honey whenever they start moving, flying, and then eventually they're burning a lot more honey when they're moving, when they're flying, and then eventually once it gets back cold and they need a cluster and they need that honey, it's all gone. So the advantage northern beekeepers have is that it usually stays colder and they're a little bit more consistent, and the bees eat their honey at a more consistent rate compared to us down south where our bees eat honey in a inconsistent way. So we have our own set of challenges. Starvation up north and down south. We deal with that a lot, but that's really the main number one that kills bees in winter: starvation. Moisture is another thing that kills bees. I have that problem. We'll talk about moisture later. Just kind of going over a few basic things. Sudden temperature swings. I talked about that. Sudden temperature swings can really kill your bees. Not just them, eating a lot of honey when it gets warm, but also whenever your temperatures go up suddenly, the bees break cluster. They move around. They go up into your other boxes. They spread out like they normally would in spring, summer, and fall. But when it suddenly gets cold, a sudden temperature swing, they might not all get back into the cluster. So sometimes whenever you see bees on the entrance, that kind of tells you what happened. Now, most times those bees that you see kind of standing still on your entrances, on the side of the box, on the top, I see that all the time. I'm sure you see that all the time. Most times, not all the time, but a lot of times those bees aren't dead. A lot of times they're just really, really cold. They can't move. But once they get into that position for a long enough time, they will die. So certain temperature swings are a big factor for me, and I'm sure northern folks do deal with it a little bit, but not as much as us. um High Varroa mite loads, of course. Look, everybody talks about Varroa mites, high loads. Don't really have to go too deep into that. Everybody knows that does kind of cause a problem. Not really the Varroa mites themselves, but really the viruses that they distribute into bees, and colonies entering winter too weak. Whenever the weak colonies, you don't want to have weak colonies. We'll talk about that later. All right, number one. The number one mistake that most beekeepers make, a lot of beginner beekeepers make, is not checking the hive weight. And what a lot of beekeepers think of checking weight, that they a lot of times think that they have to inspect their colony to feel the weight. And you don't have to do that. You just need to lift your box up. We'll kind of get into that in a second. Try to keep things consistent and organized here. I'm kind of bad at that, to organize things. You just have to kind of take what I say and kind of organize it. I'm not really good at that. So colonies can starve even during warm spells. Brood rearing in winter burns through stores fast. Late winter, usually February through March, depends on where you live, is the highest starvation risk. And when we're talking about checking the hive weight, what I mean by that, during winter, you do not want to open up your colony. Inspections, that's not the only way to get an idea of how much honey you have in the hive. The main number one thing is to lift your colony box. If you lift your colony box, you can feel if it's heavy or not, because the honey is the heaviest thing in the hive, and you can feel the weight. Most beekeepers like me and you and a little bit more experienced beekeepers kind of know what the feel is whenever you have a lot of honey in there versus whenever the hive is light. So make sure to check your hive weight. Make sure they're heavy. If they're not heavy, you need to put on some food, candy boards, fondant, Hive Life fondant, anything like that will feed them up. Make sure they do not starve. That's a main one that a lot of beekeepers make. All right, number two. This is actually one I kind of really want to talk about. Opening the hive too much, and this is the one I was kind of thinking about a lot today, about how to talk about this, because a lot of beekeepers might take it the wrong way. And what I mean by open the hive is lifting up the lid. You don't want, and what I mean by this, what would you call opening the hive too much? There's not really a rule, I guess, in place. It's really personal preference, but really don't really want to be opening the lid every day. I mean, that's kind of unnecessary. During winter, there's not really a whole lot you can do other than check the food every once a week is probably enough. Is, I would say, limit, if you want to open your lid and put in feed or take out feed, unless they're taking it like crazy. That's the one exception. Don't open up too much. If you opening the hive, does break the cluster and can release a little bit of heat. But at the same time, a lot of times people think, that if you have a bottom board, a screen bottom board, the way the bees heat is to cluster, not really bring in heat. It does release a little heat whenever you open it. Um, Temperature loss forces bees to burn more food, and this is the biggest one to me. Really, is if you are in a warm climate, brood chills easily during warm cold swings. I think the biggest one on here is really your brood chill. And I also want this really two things here. Number one, you don't want to open your lid too much. And what I mean by this is every day or every other day. That's really unnecessary. Just every once in a while to open the lid, put some food on real quick. Don't open the lid forever. I mean, that really does more harm than good. And then leave them a while, because during winter, it's not really a whole lot you can do. Don't inspect your colony. Don't do that. There's no reason to inspect your colony. Actually, the last live stream I had, we were kind of talking about that a little bit. About right now, this exact time, there's really not a whole lot going on. There's not a whole lot you can do. So just leave them be. To be able to check the weight, just lift them up. If you're wanting to check the weight, you do not need to open up the colony, open up the supers to know how much weight you have. All you need, if you need to put in some food, that's fine as well. So, we're going to get to the next one. The third mistake is poor moisture and ventilation. Moisture kills colonies faster than cold. That's actually really true. Condensation drips can chill and kill bees, and proper airflow prevents damp and unhealthy colonies. So you may be wondering, why does moisture can kill bees a lot faster than cold does? Well, the bees can survive cold air, but they can't survive condensation dripping onto the cluster. That's why ventilation is pretty important. So in most of my colonies, I have a top entrance, or a upper vent. So like a inner cover works, or you can have a condensation board. Pacific, I'm kind of can't remember exactly what it's called, but there's different things that you can use. I've talked about it a lot before. Even usually what these type of things do is you can put in some type of material, absorbent that absorbs moisture, material, and usually what I've done before is you can put an inner cover, put your moisture that absorbs the moisture, a little box, and then your lid. That's a basic way of doing it. Or you can go on Man Lake and buy a moisture board, and those work as well. Either one really works well. Or just have ventilation. A lot of times you can use screen bottom boards, or you can use a absorbent material, like burlap, fabric, that type of stuff is what you can use. So what number is this? Number 4? Number 4 is feeding too late, or not feeding at all. So you do need to feed. Now there's a lot of people out there that don't want to feed, fondant or anything else. Have a lot of fondant patties. That's what I plan to use. But it is important. I call it an emergency feed. Emergency feeding in midwinter is often too late. That's why this is kind of early winter for us. And really, our winter really just started. A lot of other beekeepers' winter probably started in November. It's just kind of different time periods for me and you, so I can't really tell you specifically, me personally. It's kind of the start of winter right now. So this week, I actually mentioned it right at the start of this live stream. I plan to go out into the bee yard and put on some food, some emergency feeding. A lot of my colonies are pretty heavy and they'll be fine without it, but some of them do need some, especially the smaller ones that are in nukes. Colonies that look strong in fall can starve later. Even if you have a big colony, big numbers, a lot of bees, those bigger colonies need a lot of honey, a lot of food, so they can still starve. Don't think that just because you have a big colony that they're not going to starve. They need food. If they're low on food, you got to put a candy board on there, fondant. Last year, I had a very, very light colony. It was very, very light. I put some food on it. If I didn't put food on it, probably would have starved, but it came out of of winter and did perfect through spring, fall, and that colony is still alive to this day. I use it for splits in spring. Winter feeding works differently from fall feeding. So, most of us know this is kind of more towards the beginner beekeepers. If you're watching, during fall, we usually feed sugar syrup, but now you can't really feed sugar syrup because that it could cause condensation, moisture. You don't want that. That's unwanted. It really hurts them more than it helps them if you feed sugar syrup during winter. This time of the year, you just really need to feed hard food. Like I said, fondant and candy boards, pretty much the same thing. Number 5 is going into winter with a weak colony. I think this is pretty big for beekeepers. Small clusters struggle to generate enough heat. Weak colonies are easily overrun by pests. You may be wondering what type of pests: mice, even raccoons, even sometimes a lot of different pests out there that will overrun your colonies. A lot of times mice do get into the colonies. That's why a lot of times you need to have mouse guards on your entrances. And combining colonies in fall improves survival. I've actually combined colonies before. In 2024 going into 2025, I did that. I combined 2 colonies. One of the colonies had really was because one colony didn't have a queen, one colony did, and the colony that didn't have the queen was not going to make it. So, you kind of get the idea there. I mean, it's still late. It was late. I think it was in November, late November. No way to get a queen, so just had to combine them. If you have a weak colony, and a strong one, you might just want to combine that weak one into the strong one because there's a good chance that weak one won't survive, and that weak one could help your stronger one. Kind of gliding through this pretty quick. Your number 6 is over insulating or wrapping in warm climates. I know a lot of northern beekeepers have to wrap. That's fine for northern beekeepers. They honestly, northern beekeepers, most times they have to because they have really cold temperatures. Down here, wrapping or over insulating doesn't really help for us. I never wrap my colonies, no matter how cold it gets. It snowed one time this year. I didn't wrap them. It was just it would have been a waste of time to wrap them because that little cold snap only lasted about 3-4 days. It wouldn't have done any good. And they all survived through it, so they were fine without any wrap around them. I can understand it if you had those type of temperatures, snow, really cold temperatures that sometimes can get into the negatives. Yeah, absolutely. Wrapping can be beneficial, but for us down here, we don't. That's what I mean. We have really up and down temperatures. Wrapping really does no good because you don't know what the temperatures are really going to be. Wrapping can also trap moisture. Southern colonies need ventilation more than insulation. Talked about that before. Ventilation is really crucial for us. And warm winters cause repeated thaw freeze cycles. Like I said, down here in the south, wrapping hives usually do more harm than good. We get warm spells all winter, and insulation can trap moisture inside the colony. Our bees benefit more from ventilation than wrapping/insulation. Keeping the moisture moving out is more important than trapping heat in, and warm climates just don't need the same winter prep as northern states. Most of us beekeepers know that, but for more beginner beekeepers, if you're watching. Number 7, entrances left too large or unprotected. That means, basically what it means is just put a entrance reducer on your colony. Keep the entrances a little bit more smaller. A mouse guard would probably be good too. Large entrances leak heat consistently. Mice can move in and destroy comb. That's the big one right there. Mice, and really, even if you have a small entrance, mice can get through those too. So if you're trying to keep mice out, you need to put a mouse guard on. If you're trying to keep mouse out, and then down south, sometimes you can have robber bees attack on warm days, which is very highly unlikely. Very unlikely, most likely not going to happen. But down south, you can still have very low chance, but it still can happen. It's already been 25 minutes already. That's kind of crazy. Number 8 is ignoring early spring brood expansion. Um, Early brood, especially, you know what? I do need to kind of talk about this before, because I think if y'all are watching this, and y'all might have your own opinions and everything like that, if it's a mistake or not, but I really do think it depends on your climate. It's really hard to kind of talk about northern climates because I'm down south. My stuff that I do doesn't work for you. Stuff that works for you doesn't work for me. Goes both ways. We usually go through. We usually have brood all year round. Usually, not a lot, just a little bit. But northern folks usually don't have brood. You can let me know if you're up north, kind of what your timeline is. If you have brood during winter or not. Usually not. Um, Early brood does increase food consumption. Um, Colonies often starve during late winter buildup, and weather swings make food needs unpredictable. So late winter and early spring, especially early spring, because whenever you have early springs, you're still going to have some up and down temperatures. You're still going to have cold spells. A lot of times, even during March, we've had some cold spells, and even some I think last year, no, it was 2023. We had a problem during March when we had a cold spell, and it really destroyed our season. And that happens all the time. So that can, whenever your bees are building up, you do need to kind of watch your bees. You don't need to ignore those early spring buildups. But like I was saying, late winter and early spring brood expansion can drain a hive faster than anything. As soon as the queen starts laying again, the food needed, the consumption skyrockets. Since brood does take food, pollen, nectar. A hive can look great in January and can starve in February, and that's why you want to pay close attention as we move towards spring. This is the time of the year when colonies run out of stores, especially later, because earlier they're using a lot of the food. Especially early spring, you don't have as much nectar out there, so you usually during spring, early spring, that's why you have a lot of people tell you to feed sugar syrup, especially during warm temperatures. Feed sugar syrup, get them built up. You're trying to get them built up. It's great. For me, I like having early brood expansion, but you have to be careful. You have to feed them. You have to make sure they have food, because you cannot have brood expansion if you don't have food. This one isn't really as big. Really, I included it because it is something to make sure you think about and talk about, but really isn't as big. If shade does increase moisture in small hive beetle pressure, and that number one, shade. It's fine to have shade. You do want to have a little bit of sun, just a little bit. A little bit of sun is great. My apiary is actually in the woods with trees around, so I do have a lot more shade, but I still have a lot of sun that does creep in as well. So you just don't want to have complete shade. You just want to have, if you have shade, it's better to have partial shade, partial shade and partial sun. Vegetation can block airflow, and clean surroundings can help keep your colonies healthier. And also this time of the year, whenever there's nothing to do, you also would, if you have your apiary, when you have your apiary, you do want to clean it up, make sure it's all neat, just for your sake, not really the bees, just so you're kind of, everything's organized. And that's actually something I plan to do in the next couple of weeks, is to organize my apiary. If y'all seen one of my videos out in the apiary, my apiary stays a mess a lot. I think I've cleaned it up a lot every year, but then it just kind of gets back dirty because I'm going through frames and going through boxes, and I don't really put it back where, exactly where I found it. So it just kind of piles up. So that's one of my jobs for me, is to clean up the apiary. I plan to do that in the next couple of weeks. All right, thanks for watching this presentation. Don't go anywhere. I plan to do more, or talk more, and just kind of talk about, not really about this topic, but just really talk about everything in general. If you have questions, feel free to put them in there. let's see what we got in here. Give me a second. The viruses slash pathogens that mites carry kill bees, not mites. High mites equals high Varroa load. Exactly. I was actually just mentioning that before. The mites themselves, the little tiny mites that you see on bees, themselves don't kill the bees. They're not the ones that harm the bees, but it's really the viruses. The foreign wing virus is one, and there's a whole bunch of others. I actually did some research a while back, kind of looking at some different viruses, and that's actually a topic I kind of want to talk about because I really find that type of really interesting. There's one exact one that mites carry that most beekeepers probably haven't heard of, and I've researched a little bit, but I'm not really going to talk about it. I plan to do some more videos later on to talk about it. Hey, Chris, Roll Tide Grayson, Roll Tide to you too. Didn't really have a good weekend, but still in the playoffs, so still got things ahead of us. JW, $20 donation. Thanks for the $20 donation. I appreciate you. Can't do it without you. Let's see. I'm going through the comments real quick. 100% agree. Starvation is number one. Too many think mites kill bees. Yep, you're right. Like I just said, starvation is number one. Really important. I treat mites. I think mites are important. I really do. I don't really talk about mites as much. I really don't center things around mites because I think everybody gets caught up in mites. Mites are important. Never overlook them, but you really want to start looking at starvation because your bee starving is really one of the most highly reasons why your bees die. And even though your bees have a lot of honey in your colony, a lot of times bees starve even with a super on top of them. I've seen a lot of people. I've seen videos of beekeepers opening up their colony. Their bees have starved, but then they're like, okay, there must be no honey in this colony. But then they go up and they see there's a full super that they have, and that sometimes happens with your bees, and a lot of times it's due to those up and down temperatures, inconsistent temperatures that we have. Sometimes they just don't get to that food in time. It happens. Hey, Mike, or let's see here, James. Thanks for checking in, James. David Potts, 3844. Everyone does focus on mites and nothing else. I do agree with you there. It does seem like a lot of the focus is on mites. I'm not saying that mites are important or anything, but I think mites to me just kind of got old to talk about. I don't think really anybody's interested in talking about mites. You can let me know if you are or not, but I'm not really interested in talking about them over and over because it's gonna be the same thing. Test if you want to. I don't test all the time. Just something. It's not that I've made it clear that I don't test all the time. It's that just the only reason is because I usually treat anyway. But most people are gonna tell you the same thing. Treat your bees, you know, and then you want to I mean that's you can pick out your treatment, whether it be Formic Pro or Apivar. I use Apivar. Um, but anyway, if y'all have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I appreciate y'all joining in tonight. If y'all would click that thumbs up button, I really would hope that you would click that thumbs up button because it really does help out the live stream if you do that. If you don't know, my live streams, I'm trying to get more consistent. This live stream here, I know a lot of y'all probably have not seen my live streams as much, so that's the thing. I've been trying my best to get more consistent. I haven't really been able to do that. It just kind of causes people not to know when you're live. So I'm gonna try to get a little bit more consistent and each week have a topic like tonight. Next week might talk about viruses or something, not about mites, but really about the viruses. The initial problem with mites is they pass on viruses, but they do also inflict physical damage to a bee by putting a hole in their exoskeleton. So they also pose a physical risk if out of hand. Absolutely, we've done. They do cause a physical problem. No mite problem here. Been there, done that. Yeah. But I already treated my bees, put Abavar on, and not. I know some beekeepers treat during winter. I don't really do that. I just treat during fall and spring, and that's kind of my treating philosophy. All right, so since I haven't really been doing any videos lately, if y'all have noticed, my last video was about 2 weeks ago. I think 3 weeks ago, and my last update video, like a vlog video, it's been. Let's look here. My last vlog video was October 25th. Was my last real vlog video, so I haven't really been giving updates, and that's just because there's really nothing going on right now. Nothing that's really big, but I think I am going to do a vlog video soon, kind of showing y'all kind of how I treat my, how I feed my bees, kind of what's going on now, and showing what I do this time of the year. I might do that, and then do some teaching videos. I do some teaching videos as well during winter. It's kind of what I kind of switch to teaching videos, and then I do my vlog videos during spring, summer, and fall, because those are the times where bee season is alive and well. Right now, there's not really a whole lot going on. Still an important time of the year for us to feed and make sure our bees don't starve or anything like that, but nothing really going on. All right, so recently, let me go to my temperatures here. The weather. Let's see here. This thing. I'm just gonna try to pull up my weather. I was gonna try to put up what's going on in my area. Let me know what's going on in y'all's area. Temperatures. Actually, I think some places have been actually getting some snow recently, so I'm sure they're enjoying it. There we go. Let's see here. So our temperatures, let's just do kind of 10-day thing. So today was actually the high. Today was 53. The low tonight is supposed to be 33. If y'all have any questions or any topics or anything, please feel free to put them in there. We have about 22, a little bit more minutes till we end this thing, and then I'll let y'all kind of wrap it up in a little while. Today was 53. Tomorrow's supposed to be 55 degrees. The low is 34. So we are going to be getting some lows pretty cold. Our bees will be clustering at those temperatures. They're clustering right now. The high Wednesday is 63, low 39. The high Tuesday, the high Thursday is 60, the low is 37. The high on Friday is 64, the low is 40. This upcoming Saturday is 58, the low is 36. Sunday is 59 on Sunday, and the low is 39. Monday's high is 61, low 36. Tuesday, the high is 60, and the low is 37. And Wednesday, our high is 58, the low is 45. So the reason why I'm kind of talking about that, let me find the best example here on a day. Let's just say Monday. Next Monday, the 15th, the high will be 61. And usually at 61, it's still kind of chilly, depending if the wind's blowing pretty good or not. If it's sunny or not. If it's cloudy, it's pretty chilly at 61, at least for me. Now for y'all up north, nothing, but 61 usually warm. Bees will kind of start breaking cluster. They for real break cluster around 65, but 61 they will still break cluster, and they will start kind of moving a little bit. But on that night, it's supposed to get down to 36, not below freezing, but still 4 degrees off of it. Our bees will be clustering at 36 degrees, so we have that problem where the bees will kind of break cluster a little bit, not fully. And what I mean by not all the way is whenever you have warmer temperatures, they're still clustering, but not as compact. But the colder it is, the more compact it is. And that's really just, for me, natural observation, not really any, scientific thing. It's just for my years of beekeeping and this year, kind of looking at the bees at different temperatures, they're more compact when it's colder. But we do have that problem, where it gets cold, and then it goes back up to 60, and then it goes back down to 37. It goes up then it can go back up to 64, and then goes back down to 59, 38. I mean, it's just weird temperatures, and we do have some problems with that. So That's our temperatures. We're kind of up and down. I've been really looking at the forecast lately, trying to make sure my bees, make sure they don't starve. That's really been my main thing. Do you think down here south we need to watch out for the yellow leg hornet, because some are saying that they didn't kill all of them in Georgia? Um, you know what, Dennis, I actually did a video on that like 2 years ago about the yellow legged hornet. If y'all want to look at that live stream, just type in on my channel yellow legged hornet. It's basically a it's basically a presentation of me kind of talking about that yellow leg hornet, kind of talking about kind of what's going on about it, kind of what it is, scientific things about it, basically an overview of it. Now, your question, do you think we need to be worried about it down here in South, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, all this? I think, most people who, would be thinking about it would be Alabama, Florida, and maybe South Carolina, because they're right buttoned up to it. I'm not really 100% sure, about what they're talking about it. If any of y'all know any more details, feel free to put them in the comment section below of this live stream. If you have any details on it, I wouldn't really worry about it yet. I haven't really heard anything like really going on about it. It's just I haven't really heard anything. If y'all have heard of anything, let me know. But I did hear that they supposedly didn't really kill them all. But we will see if it does become a little bit more of an issue. If we start seeing them more, I'm sure we will find some ways to deal with them. I am not sure. We have been above freezing for over 2 weeks now. Hey, Tim and Hannah, Gunline Bees, thanks for checking in. A healthy hive can defend itself. The gals will gang up and ball any hornets. That's what I kind of talked about in that live stream like 2 years ago. I think it was 2 years ago. Healthy colonies, are if it's a weak colony, I mean, it kind of goes for yellow jackets or anything else, even bees, robber bees, any type of pests. If your colony or small hive beetles, if your colonies are strong and healthy, a healthy, strong colony can defend itself easily. But if they're weak and not strong, those small hive beetles, um, yellow-legged hornets, and um, yellow jackets, and even robber bees from other colonies will take advantage. So I think the main goal, if you are a beekeeper and you're kind of thinking about these pests such as a yellow-legged hornet and others, just need to keep them strong, keep them healthy. I think that's the main goal. I've actually seen my bees ball up a bald-faced hornet. So I think they would do the same with a yellow-legged hornet. Summer bees have all died off and had to clear the entrance. Mine have too. All mine summer bees have died, and have new winter bees come in. So yeah, I guess that's about it. All I really kind of wanted to talk about. We'll kind of wrap up things here in a little bit. If y'all have any more questions or anything else that y'all want to bring up, feel free to put that in the chat. We'll talk about that, and then we'll get close to wrapping it up. So again, I guess most every beekeeper can kind of say the same thing. It's just not really a lot going on right now. Not really anything to talk about except just the average things. I mean, I think that's kind of what happens every year. If y'all would, please click that thumbs up button on this live stream. I would appreciate if y'all would do that. It helps out the live stream and helps me out a lot. And make sure to share out, subscribe. I actually have 2,685 subscribers. So I'm only 15 away from 2,700. So that's pretty cool. So then therefore I'll be 315 away from 3,000. Like I've mentioned before, I will do a giveaway. I haven't talked about it a lot because slowly growing. I need to kind of upload more videos. But slowly growing. But I still do plan, when I reach 3,000 subscribers, I still do plan to do a giveaway. I think it'll be good. Let's see here. Let me make sure. I'm going to go through all my comments here to make sure I didn't miss anything from the start. I don't see anything on here that I missed yet. Only getting a couple degree above freezing here. Same here. I mean, it's kind of been the same thing, like I mentioned in my temperatures. It's been right above 32 degrees. Like I said, tonight 33, not right there above, not really been under that, but just kind of right button up next to it. So for me, my next, I think most people might wonder what my plans are, for the next couple of weeks with my apiary. That's one thing I kind of want to mention. I plan to, number one, get out into the bee yard this week. I don't inspect my bees during winter. I don't, do anything like that. Just could chill the brood. Unwanted problems that, unwanted things. I just don't want to inspect, even if it gets up to 65 degrees. I usually never inspect during winter. Sometimes I open the lids and put in some food. But this week, I really do want to start putting on some food. I think it's about that time right here. Early winter is usually when I always put on my food. And that's what I plan to do. Then plan to, kind of get ready for next year, really. Kind of prep up, make sure all my equipment's ready. I still have some time. I mean, the rest of this year, this month, excuse me, December, January, and a little bit of February to kind of get everything I need for next year. My main goal is try to get all my bees out. I still have 13, and I just need to make sure all of those food, all my food's on because I don't want them to starve. That's my main goal, and really, other than that, nothing else I plan to do. Sorry we came in late, Grayson. Do you feel like you're pretty well ready for the cold weather coming up? I feel like pretty good about my situation, kind of where I'm at. Like I said, I have not put on my food any emergency feed on yet, so that's one thing that I plan to do this week. I was actually going to I plan to do that. I was planning to do that today, actually, but it kind of the time got away from me. It kind of got a little bit of later. It kind of got close to this, so I really just, um, you know, didn't have enough time for today. But probably tomorrow or Wednesday, gonna put on some food. Um, but yeah, I do feel pretty well about this upcoming winter. I think it's really already been cold. Our regular temperatures. I mean, it's been kind of regular December Alabama temperatures. And usually during our winter, we'll get one cold, really cold snap, and then like last year, um, we got some snow. So I really don't expect that again. But because I think it was last year, you got a good amount of snow. Really, a lot came in. I mean, I was surprised how much snow. Usually, people kind of talk about snow, and usually never happens, but it did. And my bees fared well through that, so I think they'll fare well through the um, next couple of weeks and months, December, January, and I usually kind of start getting ready for spring in February, but it just really depends on the forecast. As long as the forecast doesn't look too cold, usually mid February I kind of get ready for winter because usually during those times I can compared to other beekeepers. Y'all's cold hasn't quite made it to us yet, Gary. Yep, it hasn't. We still ain't that cold. I mean, it's still cold enough to want to put on extra clothes, but um, people get worried about putting feeders on in winter. Honestly, they shouldn't need them till early spring. If they need them now, I wouldn't have much hope for them. Yeah. Yeah, I'm guessing you're meaning like sugar syrup, like liquid food. Yeah, I usually don't. Actually, you know what? This year I really didn't do that much. I really last coming into this year I really didn't feed much because I just fed all year long. Hard candy food. So they're really already full on up. But I fed the original colonies that I had with a little bit of sugar syrup in early spring. Um, but then after that, I really didn't do anything else because our flow got going. Um, yeah, because our flow got going, and all my nukes that I made, because I did 5 frame splits, and then I had one colony into 4. So that's kind of my method. If y'all don't really know, if you're kind of new, you can kind of go back to those videos. They're great videos. Just saying, healthy hive should have plenty of storage right now. Mine are in the bottom deep and have a whole upper deep of honeys to go through, but even touch the feeders. Yep, I get you now. Yep, you are correct, and that's why I haven't really put on any food yet. I do plan to, just to put a little extra on. Might as well. I mean, it doesn't hurt, because I do want to try out that have a lot of fun and see how they like it. But most of my colonies, I just really feel good about them that they really don't need much food. That they really don't need much right now. I mean, that's why I've just kind of hesitated to put any food on in the last week or two, because it's just right now they're okay. I shouldn't really need it until a couple early spring. Not really worried about it right now, but I will still put a little bit on. Just probably won't overdo it, because a lot of my colonies too do have a lot of honey in the supers. Can't tell you exactly, but I know one colony has a full deep, just nothing but honey, a full deep of honey. Another one has another full deep of honey, plus the brood, the bottom deep, and then one of my other colonies has a full super, plus the bottom box, the brood nest, plus the brood nest. Then also another colony has 2 full supers, plus the brood nest, and I also have another one that has a full super, plus the brood nest. So my colonies, I was surprised with how this fall flow did. I just really was surprised with it, because it really filled them up pretty good. Fever Flower 7102, thanks for checking in. Hello all, thanks for checking in. I've had swarm cells in mid-apiary last year, so I'm ready for spring. Me too. I wouldn't say exactly in February. I got to go back to the video, because I can't really exactly remember exactly when those swarm cells popped up. It was, I can tell you, it was around March. Excuse me, it was actually it was late March whenever my colony started making swarm cells. Late March, then did my splits in very, very early April, probably like Apiary 1st or April 2nd. And then I did my splits. I plan to do the whole same exact process again. Not exactly which colonies, because that's another thing I really gotta do. I gotta kind of just think about it. I gotta look at my colonies, look at what I got, look at my colonies, see which ones I want to save just for honey production, because there's some I just want to not split. And if they do end up with swarm cells, I will split them. But if they don't, I'm gonna let them just carry on with honey, and then I will take some and expand a little bit this year. And I'm gonna try to get up to, I got 13 now. Would like to come out with about 12, 11, 10's okay. Like, I could come out with all of them. I wouldn't be surprised, but sometimes you lose colonies. It's okay. Just want to limit the colony loss around maybe come out with about 12, 11, and I can. This year, I actually tripled. So if I wanted to, I could triple again, and I probably could get up to 20, 25. I could. I don't really have the right now. I couldn't do that because I don't have the I don't have the equipment for that, so I probably will just limit it. If I come out with about 12 or 11 or even 13, limit it to about 20, because I think that's really all I can handle as a hobbyist, and I think that's kind of where I'd kind of stick around. Well, I guess it's already been 55 minutes. If y'all have any late questions, I can answer them late. But other than that, I appreciate y'all watching, checking in. I appreciate it. I've actually kind of been inconsistent. Look, we talk about inconsistent temperatures, but I've been kind of inconsistent with my YouTube channel, but just not really a whole lot going on right now. I will become. I promise y'all, I will become a little bit more consistent whenever we get into spring, late winter, because that's whenever we have a lot more things going on and a lot more excitement with the bees. But right now it's the holiday season. I hope y'all have a good holiday season. I will be back next week, at 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. I'll figure out a topic for next week. Again, thank y'all for watching. Hashtag Racing 21. Yeah, I might make it there. Make it there. Yeah, I think 21 is really a solid number. 2021. I think that's very, very realistic. I could throw a number out there. I could, if I came out with 13, 12, 11, I could see getting up to 30. But honestly, that's just unrealistic and not really. I just don't think I could handle that effectively. And then go into winter with all that, it just would be really, really tough. So I'm going to limit it to about 20 to 21. But it all depends. You know what? I came out of winter last year saying I wanted about 7, 8, 9, 10 colonies. I got that. And right now I'm saying I kind of want about 20, 21. I think I can get there too. Just got to be smart and efficient with the way I make my splits. And I'm going to probably do the same system I did last year. Had a lot of success with it. But yeah, exactly what Jason said. I gave up targeting a number of years ago. Let your apiary go to what you can handle. It's not a race. Exactly, absolutely. I'm not, exact number. Honestly, I'm probably just gonna go with the kind of same thing I went with last year. Just kind of let the bees kind of see what the bees do, and I'll split some colonies whenever they make queen cells. Because last year, I actually waited until they made queen cells, because those swarm cells are, the best queen cells that there are, and worked out great. But anyway, I kind of dragged that out. I'm gonna try the Damari system this year. I think that will work. I talked about the Damari too. A lot of beekeepers use it and have a lot of success with it. Thank y'all so much for watching tonight. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all watching. Hey Blaine, hey Grayson, hey everyone. Just about to wrap things up here. You can get to 3K faster if you raffle a jar of honey when you go live. You know what? I might do that. I've actually been thinking about that. Rick and Richard. That might be something I might want to do. Do some giveaways. Maybe a giveaway once live, and people love giveaways. Whenever somebody says they're going to do a giveaway, people are going to come on to that because, they want to have a chance to win something. I do the same thing too. But again, thank you for watching. I appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all click that thumbs up button on your way out. I think there'll be some other live streams tonight, so y'all can kind of head on over there and enjoy those. Hope you enjoyed this one, and I appreciate y'all. Couldn't do it without y'all. Subscribe and click the like button, and we will see y'all next time. Happy holidays, everyone.